Hey, what's up everybody, Grappler Jamo here to do a review for Season 1 of Gundam 00. And here's my review. It is the year 2307 AD. The world is now separated into three superpowers, and the world's fossil fuels are progressively running low. And the human race has decided to take the next logical step by constructing a super gigantic solar panel outside the Earth's atmosphere with special elevators operated by each superpower. Despite this advancement, science is still being used to develop military might and potentially, affecting, war. And then you got this group called Celestial Being, a self-appointed keepers of the peace militia group that intervene in these situations in order to prevent wars from happening. So how do they achieve their goals? This organization use 4 special mobile suits called, as you can guess it, Gundams, to make their point loud and clear. And to be honest, I'll admit that, thanks to the bad taste See Destiny left in my mouth, I came into this series with very low expectations. And, of course, even though I am a Gundam fan, and there have been more than 20 Gundam series now, what else can the franchise offer with a new series? I know it's drastically demanding asking for originality, but I did come to terms with that as I got more into this series. Though it may not offer my unrealistic dreams of originality, I felt it does have its own unique distinction in many ways. To start off, I was very surprised that this series makes direct reference to current events that are still going on during its broadcast and during the time of this review, such as the conflicts in Sri Lanka and Ireland. Usually they use the fictional factions in other series to be a metaphor for other real-life conflicts, but this takes the cake by just, directly stating things. And I thought that was really cool. And what also captivates me are the subplots that involves Princess Marina of Azaderstan, which I think is now supposed to be Iran, and 2 civilians named Saji and Louise. Princess Marina shows the difficulties of nations like hers in today's political climate. And I like how Saji and Louise give a civilian point of view of the war. At first, I had no idea why we should care for them, but even though they're not directly part of the main plot, the series still effectively develops in a manner in which it drives you to eventually care for them and relate to them because, most of us are civilians, seeing that there's actually war going on. But besides this interesting external supporting cast, the main cast is still pretty much characters that have been done before in other Gundam series, but their individual backgrounds are unique, which was enough for me to find interest in them. Initially, in these kinds of series, the individual personalities will conflict with one another, and as the series progresses, they come to unite, and of course that's been done before. As I can say, the formula pretty much follows the standard of a Gundam series, but adds some, new elements. What I also liked was how they approached the space travel, which is more emphasized in Season 2. I like how in this series the migration to space is at a stage between the end of its conception and the beginning of its birth. And usually in other Gundam series, humans have been migrating to space colonies for hundreds of years now. And I like how the whole idea of migrating to space is taken to a whole new fresh approach, though this viewpoint is more emphasized in Season 2. But my overall main gripe with this series, I think people will be equally divided on, is that I don't like how it's a 25-episode series. And to be honest, I'm not fond of that format. The fact that it's 25 episodes really rushes the last third of the series, especially its ending, and just things come out of nowhere with little to no setup. And I feel with the series having the organization fighting 3 superpowers at once, it just doesn't work in my opinion. I know this was made with the intention of a follow-up or a sequel, but Mizushima also made the sequel as with the intention of seeing it as a separate series, and I really do see these as separate series after watching both of them. But even with an intended sequel, you still have certain things that are exclusive to this series, and I think you need time or more episodes to properly establish and develop these elements. And if it weren't for that, if it at least had more episodes to properly develop all these things, I could have given the story and characters a 10 out of 10. But because of that, I'm giving it an 8.25 out of 10. Going on, the design of the gimmicks for the Gundams presented have already been done before, but there will be goodies and surprises that, will probably satisfy all of you. If you like Gundam Wing or Gundam X, then I feel stylistically you're going to enjoy this series. Even though what is artistically presented has been done before, the coloring, as in, the resolution and, how they're all washed up, the rendering and the angles are still something fresh. But I feel what makes up for this is the presentation of the action. Thankfully, the animation isn't abusively recycled like in the Gundam Seed Destiny, which is a start. But what makes the animation so awesome is just that the angles and the smooth frame rate makes the action very intense, very easy to follow, and just makes it pretty exciting. The action from the Gundams can get overkill, in which Gundam Wing paved way for, but eventually the action can develop to a certain point where it's about piloting skills and strategy, as opposed to abusing godlike features, though this will kind of switch to that in Season 2, which I'll get into later. And the enemy mech designs are pretty primitive looking, but have a different kind of realism to it not offered in other Gundam series. The advanced nations have agile looking mobile suits, and the poorer nations have clunky mobile suits that look like a mix between the Tin Woodsman and the Kitty Hawk. So I thought that was an interesting touch to show the gap in technology between the nations. The character design is at least more diverse in comparison to Seed and Seed Destiny, but to take a page out of Aiko Arisaka 420's book, why do the men look like women? If it weren't for the voices, I swear T-Area and Setsuna and Lock-On and Aleuya, I thought they would all be women if it weren't for the voices. But anyway, moving on, being the first Gundam to be in HD, it truly delivers in that respect. And the CG is awesome with it, and if you're looking for action, then I feel you've come to the right anime series. So, for the art and animation, I'm giving that an 8.5 out of 10. What I once again find surprising is that Miyano Mamoru and Brad Swell once again voiced the same character. Previously, they both shared the voice of Light Yagami in Death Note, but this time they both get to voice Setsuna as Sei, the main character of this series. Now I'll admit, I was more impressed with Brad Swell's acting in comparison to Miyano Mamoru's. Usually you hear Brad Swell with that distinctive high-pitched voice, but hearing him with that lower-pitched voice that is reminiscent of Mark Hilder's portrayal of Hiro Yui just took me by surprise by the balls. I felt this role gave Swell that opportunity to show, he can do more than just that voice he does. The rest of the voice cast in both English and Japanese is top-notch, and I really can't complain. And, I feel like I got no other reason to go into further detail. The music is top-notch, and I have nothing but praise for it. Who could go wrong with Larkin Seal doing the opening theme? I say that's pretty fucking epic. But aside from the fact you got Larkin Seal, I felt the tone and the lyrics of the song Daybreak's Bell truly reflected the dark but yet hopeful atmosphere of the series. As for the second opening theme, Ash Like Snow, how did you know the singer, Kawase Tomoko, also sang Lonely is Gorgeous, the theme to Paradise Kiss? So, that's pretty interesting, huh? And the general background music in itself just, all fits together and reflects the mood and environment. And as you can guess, I'm giving the music and voice acting a 10 out of 10. In the end, I felt that this is a good series, but could have been better if it weren't for the limitations of being a 25-episode series. I feel with a Gundam TV series, even with an intended follow-up, 25 episodes just doesn't work. And the ending to this series is kind of proof of that. Other than that, I recommend this to just about any fan, whether noob or veteran, to Gundam. If you want to get into Gundam and you like this to be your introduction to the franchise, then I say give it a shot to your own pleasure. I feel with the animation techniques offered, and you're going to enjoy the action, and the music will keep you pumping. And, with its own distinct qualities to its story, I feel along with the music and the animation, it all adds up to a good score of an 8.75 out of 10.